Carrie even wrote me down a remember list.
We're live right now, just so we're clear. So,
Order. Oops. Hey, I think it's actually on. All right, should we start with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carrie, would you please give us a roll call?
Mr. Steinberg,
Here.
Mrs. Rorich,
Here.
Mr. White,
Here.
Mr. Whittington,
Here.
Mayor Norton.
Here. Thank you, Carrie. All right, next item, we'll open up for public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to have public comment? We'll give you 3 minutes. State your name and address. Going once, going twice, and sold. I will now close public comment. We have an agenda before us tonight. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Agenda is approved. Next item, we have the approval of the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? I have one correction. There's one reference to Mayor Oranger in the very, very first bullet. That is okay. This is the only thing I caught. Okay, so we have a motion to approve. We have discussion. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of approving the minutes with that one correction?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We have meeting minutes. Next item is the consent agenda. So a couple things to note on the consent agenda. We unfortunately have a resignation from Andrew Miller from Planning and Zoning. We have an addition of Hunter Blees to the Fire Department Reserves. And the third item I had is actually already on here. So just those 2 items to point out. Anything else we want to set aside for further discussion? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we approve the consent agenda. We are on to presentations. It seems that Roger Beckel was unable to make it. He was on here, but he is going to wait until the next meeting. Is that correct? Okay. Second item for presentations, we have Chief Simpson here. Would you like to talk to us about some fire department items?
Yes, I would. Hi, Mayor, council
Hello.
members. A couple things I wanted to bring up tonight. One of them is, we'll start off with, we just received the battery-operated extrication equipment. Yeah, we just got that on the truck, rearranged the truck, got that all positioned. The total price of that on the list, $37,966.50. We had that spec'd out on, I believe it was the CIP for that, or was it department?
I believe that's correct.
So, yes, plus there is a grant that we did receive from the Schmidt Foundation, right? Verna? And for $5,000 to put towards that as well, so that should help a little bit with the cost of that. There's in the future, we have a purchase of rope rescue equipment. The rope rescue equipment, and this one's just for a heads up. This isn't anything we're proposing today or anything. But that rope rescue equipment, so we'll be able to do high angle rescues and everything. That in total is looks like 19,000 in total for the whole, including all of the equipment and the ropes. Yeah, sorry, nope, I added those wrong. It's $6,600, $36,637.50 for the rope rescue equipment. The other stuff would be if we were to try and get 4324 to be NFPA compliant. And again, as I mentioned previously, that's not anything that we're pushing to do all at once if we do make it completely compliant. Again, 24 is our blocker, just like the other day when we had the call out on 14 and it was pretty slippery. That's the truck we use to position to protect our other ones and each other. So again, I don't know that it's something that we're pushing to make it completely compliant, but just so you're aware of costs that could arise. And then something else that we had in the budget is the blacktopping of the parking lot at the station. This should already be in there. I don't know if you guys would have found this through your numbers, but that total amount for what was quoted on July 22nd of '22 was $12,975, and that would cover the west side of the building and the north side of the building. As you know, that building originally, when we took it over as a fire department in 1951, to that was a distribution center. I believe it was a beer distribution, which is ironic, but so anyway, there was a dug-in receiving dock, which is at the door on the north side where the rescue now backs in. It's been backfilled and everything, but we have had sinking problems and everything there. We've had a couple of sinkholes that we've had to repair. One of them that's pretty small that's still there, but that's all included in the cost of the parking lot. Another thing that we are anticipating here in the very near future is purchasing airbags. The airbags I did print off, and I could share that with all of you guys. We're not purchasing everything that's on here. What I highlighted in yellow would be what we are looking at purchasing. We had looked at a couple of different avenues of what type of bags would serve us best. Out on the highway, say there's a, excuse me, a semi-rollover or an entrapment, something like what we came close to earlier last summer. Fortunately, you know, a split-second difference would have made a big difference in what we would have needed for equipment that day. And we would have needed this type of equipment in order to be able to do that rescue successfully and safely for everybody involved. So when you look at the total of all the airbags, that total would be $15,054.77. That should have been included in CIP as well. And then the other thing that's highlighted on the bottom there, on the page 3, the last thing, that Beluga laminated glass cutting tool, it's an attachment for a DeWalt. So we could just attach it just as easily as you would a drill bit, instead of trying to saw through the windshield. It's like a nibbler that you would use on steel to cut through the windshield. Pretty slick. So there's also some other tools listed back there on that last page. The channel locks and the rescue wrenches. Those are tools for each firefighter to have in their gear. So that way they, well, pretty simple. They're hand tools that we would need on various different occasions. Those are ones that would come out of our budget for budget line item 520. So that's where I would cover those out of. And then the other thing that we are, our next actual purchase that we're looking at is the headsets. for the trucks. The headsets are, noise canceling, headphones that you would wear with a microphone on them. Spencer's the one who put this together. You could probably speak on it a little better. But we set it up for, at this time, originally we got quotes for 4 trucks. We decided to not put them on 4312 at this time because that's the next truck up slated for replacement. So, not that we're planning on doing that or anything, but, there's just, there's no sense putting all that money into equipment for headsets on either 12 or 24 at this time. I don't see that being a justifiable expenditure. So again, there's the equipment for 4311, that total 9,280. That covers, the 5 sets that we would need for that truck. 5 positions, and the radio, so it attaches, it works with the radio in the truck. Be really nice communication, everything, that'll be really nice. The other one, or the next one I should say, 4321, the tanker, or tender. There's only 2 headsets for that one, and of course, it's gotta communicate with the base unit as well. That costs $6,300.80. And then 4301, the rescue. That one to include all the headsets, 3 for in the back, 2 in the front, and 1 jump seat. And to communicate with the, again, with the mobile unit. That total $7,200, $225.25. Those 3 there, that are the expenditures for the headsets, will be our next purchase. The other stuff that was mentioned is just for a heads up, so you know what's coming up in the future. Yes, the rope rescue, $6,637.50. If I'd have just said it right the first time, probably been a lot easier. I'm sure that's my fault too. Spence, did I miss anything on the headsets?
Good. There is, if you just want to note, there is a grant coming for the road rescue.
From where was it? Alliance Pipeline? Okay.
Yes. Alliance Pipeline for the rope rescues, $7,500. So that'll pretty much cover everything that we were going to spend on the rope rescue. So that won't hit our budget at all, really, except for, as it rolls through. So the airbags in total, there's 4,000 from Compier Financial, and a $1,000 grant from Walmart. We mentioned the rope rescue for $7,500 from Alliance Pipelines. I mentioned the $5,000 from Verna Schmidt for the rescue tools, and then also the gloves and hoods that have been ordered. We received a grant last summer, June, from Centerpoint Energy for $2,500 to cover the expense on those. I think that's it.
Everyone got all of that, every single bit? Because I sure don't. Just sounds like a lot
I have notes.
I'd love to see those next time. Thank you, Chief Simpson, for all of that information. And I just want to say, it sounds like you guys spend a lot of time researching, applying for, and probably tracking down grants. And I know that's not an easy task, so thank you for doing that, Spencer. So we're going to look for those next items, probably on the next meeting, or?
Yeah, well, we anticipate accepting the purchase of those at our next meeting, which
Okay.
is in a week, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Thank you very much. Council, any questions for Chief Simpson? Okay, So I think we need to have a motion for purchasing the headsets. Anyone like to make a motion on that?
I'll motion.
So, go ahead. I have some comments, some questions, but we'll do it after we get the motion done, so.
Do you want to have it before the
No,
motion, or do you want to have it during the discussion?
That's the discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
So, the whole number is covered between the budget that we have and also the grants that you received, right? So.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you had a lot of information, Vern.
Sorry.
I can't keep up with you, man. But, okay.
I think that's what would be helpful next time is having it like listed,
Yeah.
because I was trying to keep up too.
I tried to
It
write.
lost me and I was just listening.
Well, like I said, all the things that I mentioned at first were just for information.
Yeah.
And then, so, you know, as it comes time to purchase some other things, again, I'll be back up here and I'll make sure they're, at least take a breath in between things.
Vern, I just wanted to confirm so everybody is on the same page, but the headsets are gonna be paid for using, capital outlay, CIP dollars that you guys had set aside, so
Yes.
that is budgeted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought that's what you said, but like I said, it was a lot of numbers. I think you guys are doing a great job, and we need to make sure we get you supported and get the equipment for you guys to do a good job, so.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah, I was able to find some time to meet with Chief Simpson on Friday and actually got a wonderful 2.5-hour tour, I think, of just about everything over at the fire station. It was a lot of wonderful information. If you guys haven't been over there lately, you probably have a lot more than I have, but it was wonderful. So thanks again for the time, kind of explaining things that we have, concerns, things that we're going to be needing in the future, just so we're making really good decisions up here too. So thank you again for
Yeah.
your time.
Thank you. It was great meeting with you.
All right, so we had a motion, a second, we've discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, I think we are on now to old business. First topic is possibly amending Chapter 3. This is regarding the clearing of sidewalks, currently at 12 hours. I think we have, I'll kick this over to you, Jennifer, if that's okay. I think you have some notes from council as well.
Absolutely. Mayor and City Council, just a little recap. Discussion took place at last month's meeting about the need to look into the time frame that property owners have to clear their sidewalks of snow and ice following snow or another type of, rain, freezing rain, precipitation event. There was some discussion revolving around concern that the current time frame of 12 hours is simply too short, and that poses challenges for property owners. So include with the packet is an excerpt from Code Chapter 3, Section 3.010, Subdivision 3A, and that's related to public nuisances affecting peace and safety with the proposed code language modification in red. And then this was included in the packet last month as well, but just again, a summary of some of the cities that were contacted. As we just mentioned, Eagle Lake is 12 hours, and there's one other city that we surveyed that was 12 hours, but the bulk of them are 24 hours. There's one in there for 36 and another for 48, but I think on average it's about 24 hours is what we found in area codes. Also attached with your packet is a letter that we received from the city attorney following our last month's meeting. As you remember, there was a resident at the meeting and they made a presentation about concerns and snow removal from sidewalks on Agency Street. And then they had asked the city council to consider amending code to allow for the use of ATVs on sidewalks. And per our legal counsel, he advises that current code prevents the use of ATVs on sidewalks, and then notes that city council may consider modifying the ordinance to allow for the use of ATVs on sidewalks or to allow for the minimal use on sidewalks. And then legal counsel further advises that this can be accomplished by amending the language of our code section 4.160 subdivision 3D, or the city council could add an exemption that would permit the use of an ATV on public sidewalks for repair, maintenance, upkeep, and removal of snow. in section 4.160 subdivision 4. And then ultimately, legal counsel advises that as to which option is preferable will be up to the city council and what you feel is appropriate. I did talk with our public works director and police chief for their input, and they're available this evening if you'd like to ask them to share that. And then at the end of that, there should be some discussion, and if there is an interest in amending Chapter 3, Section 3.010, Subdivision 3A, to expand the time frame to clear sidewalks, and/or also Chapter 4, Section 4.160, Subdivision 3D, then a public hearing should be scheduled to that effect for the upcoming April 3rd City Council meeting. And I'll quickly scroll through before I turn it back to you. So here's a letter from our city attorney on page 64 in the packet. And then scrolling down to page 65, you'll see in red, we have a strike through all snow and ice removed from the public sidewalks 12 hours after snow or other precipitation causing the condition has ceased to fall. And we put the owner and occupant of any property adjacent to a public sidewalk shall use diligence to keep the walk safe for pedestrians. No owner occupant shall allow snow, ice, dirt, or rubbish to remain on the walk longer than 24 hours after its deposit. Failure to comply with this section shall constitute a violation. And we thought this language was good because it lets people know that if you're adjacent to a sidewalk, it is your responsibility to keep it clean and safe for pedestrians. And that also, if you fail to do so, that there are, repercussions for that. So that's what I have this evening. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, got the police chief and public works director can maybe provide some input on their thoughts.
Thank you very much for that information. Chief Kopp or Andrew Hartman, do you have any comments you'd like to share about your thoughts on ATVs on the sidewalks?
So I guess I don't know if it's really a thought on the ATV part, but, in the section itself, I think it should be more broad, because there's people that use skid loaders or tractors, Are we gonna start having to switch for, now we need to, amend it with the tractor or amend it with things like that, can we make it broad and say, use your best judgment on cleaning your sidewalk? Something like that.
Yeah, I would be in favor of trying, because now there's ATVs, there's UTVs, there's, larger lawn tractors, there's tractor, so is there also something that we can do to make sure that they're not using something that damages the sidewalk and other things?
Maybe put a weight limit on it?
Yeah, or something like that, because either sidewalk or even, if you go in there with a big bucket, you're gonna dig, dig up the boulevard, you're gonna cause a lot of damage if you use the wrong tool.
I can guarantee my husband's thinking about a flamethrower if we adjust this, so I would be in favor of some kind of restrictions. No monster trucks, I don't know.
Right, and I think the width thing, they're gonna be responsible for redoing their boulevard, so if they mess it up, we're not gonna go fix it because we're not doing that sidewalk. I think that issue isn't as bad as, maybe a weight, but I haven't really seen anything
Big enough to break
heavier than what we use, so.
Yeah, cause what is a toolcat, Andrew?
I think they're like about 6,000 pounds.
Yeah,
So,
That's big.
right.
Is there a weight rating on sidewalks in general?
A little thick and soil,
Yeah.
but,
6,000 pounds, weighs more than my car.
We did a survey of, the other states, and we couldn't find anything where anybody had any specific weight limits in their code. And then I think another challenge might be, how do we police that? How do we?
right.
And the other thing you talked with our engineer, he mentioned, obviously you don't want too heavy equipment in your sidewalks because it's cracking, but then again, you have to also recognize in the wintertime when the ground is frozen, it might not be as bad as if when you have a contractor, I might be constructing a new home and driving over an existing sidewalk and it cracks. A little different scenario, but.
Maybe something like machinery necessary to remove snow. That's pretty broad.
I like the definition you had for maintenance, snow removal, that definition. And maybe just be a little more generic, like Andrew said, about the machinery itself.
I don't think we wanna get into weight limits either, just because I don't know how,
Are you
I
gonna
would
force
weigh
that?
a machine and say it's too heavy to be on there.
Well, you can look it up, but that's just, again, I don't think it's necessary either, but, as far as broad, I would like, you know, any machinery necessary, you know. I mean, if you see a loader driving down the sidewalk, maybe you could stop them and say, hey, that's a little too big for the sidewalk.
Yeah, there is just so you're aware, there is a loader that is on the sidewalk, and it's actually, if I recall correctly, it's from Mr. Beckel, uses a loader,
Mhm.
so,
But not like a, you know what I'm talking about, Andrew? Like
Right,
one
it's
of
not
the-
a payloader, he's
Yeah,
using just
yeah.
like a farm tractor
farm
loader.
tractor loader.
Yeah, that's probably right around 6,000 pounds too.
And even when the county came through and did the boulevards, I mean, they had their whole row of tires on their road grader up there. I mean,
Yeah,
the sidewalk, you know, with the frozen base underneath, the sidewalk holds up pretty well.
right.
Maybe just put in there like appropriate reasonable equipment or something like that, so that someone doesn't come in with something that is just out of line for again, just because, but, I mean, I don't think.
It's not gonna be an issue.
Has an issue with that, I think this is just a resident making sure that he doesn't get in trouble versus someone complaining that people are using his equipment.
Yeah, because we forbid it with this section, right? So any use of ATV. And we don't want ATVs driving up and down, you know, casually, but for snow removal. that's
Yeah,
fine.
we've never, I mean, I guess we've never said anything that they could use them for snow removal, just in the past, just so you guys are aware, we've never said anything they couldn't, but.
Okay, so are we good with this language then? Subdivision 3A, the red line that we had on the screen, it's page 65.
I like it.
So, what we will do is, Mayor and City Council, we will schedule a public hearing for the following meeting, and then, put that in the newspaper with the proposed language, and then following that meeting, yep, you take a vote. And then it takes effect upon publication in the newspaper.
Okay, so we need a motion to do the public meeting for, is it April 3rd?
That's correct.
Okay, would anyone like to make that motion?
All motion?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are on to new business. Water tower rehabilitation project. We all have a bunch of wonderful designs in our packet. Councilmember Vorich, she did quite a few, I think, herself, so thank you for doing that and sending those over. I know I have a favorite. I'd love to hear from the rest of you what your thoughts are on that. Jennifer, anything other than the design that you want to just have us cover first? Or are we just talking about the?
Well, I'm just gonna maybe pass these out to you guys. We have 4 in total. Andrew and I met with the city engineer, John Drotman, and the contractor, and so he sent over some paint samples, and I guess the task this evening is to pick the paint colors that you guys would like and the design. We've been advised limit to 4 colors or less. So I'll pass these down. Scary. If you can't pick the exact color, if you just pick the design, we can work with the engineer if we'd like to defer to them for their expertise on which color. I know, it's a lot.
Just my opinion on the designs, you know, I think a lot of them are great in the layout. I personally find the tan on the first few designs far too goldish tan. And then when I look at the blue and white, I feel like it is just really crisp and clean and fresh looking.
Mayor and City Council, I do have these obviously on, in the packet here, so if you want me to focus on one or different ones on the big screen, you just let me know.
I found myself liking option 2 for the,
Option 2 on page 77 or the 2 on
page 70.
70, okay.
apologize.
And I will just say too, with the opportunity source part, I think that's gonna get really hard to see, you know, big picture wise. I don't think it's gonna turn out quite as well as what we think it would maybe.
Oh, yeah, like underneath the Eagle Lake, yeah, it's,
I think no tagline, and I'm not sold on Eagle. At least the one that is currently on the water tower.
Yeah, my 2 cents would be option 2 that Anthony said, and/or, down to the white water towers. I think with no eagle, I think looks nice. Beth, did you design those ones with the no eagle? Jesse did. I think option 1, on option 1, 2, and 4C, I think those all look nice too, with the fresh color. And then you get rid of that eagle component, and then we won't have a branding issue, so to say.
right.
I think that Jesse did a great job. Beth, you guys did a great job.
But I
with
will
that.
note that it comes out white, but she had it being like an off-white. I think that's where I was really stuck when I was looking at the ones that they submitted, is I don't like the tan. I'm not a fan. Like, even if it's just an off-white and
old-
not stark white,
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the tan.
Could you guys repeat, so, Anthony likes number 2, page 70, I thought maybe we could start writing some of these down. We almost need like a tally board here to, so you guys can see it. Carrie's got it going here, okay. So Anthony was, option 2. Let's see, Andrew, did you say option 2? Or did you not say anything? Okay, and then,
What option, when you're talking?
Should we say
what are talking-
tan
Page 70.
2 or white
And
2?
Original color
So-
2.
Option
Okay.
2, page 70.
I think that tan was supposed to be more like what was on the tower, like that beige. It just doesn't turn out very well in the picture.
It'd probably be similar to this color here in this book. That would be code number 4037 silica. That's probably close to what the water tower is now. What you say, Andrew? I think.
so Councilmember Steinberg, could you, review your numbers that you selected again?
Yeah, I said number, I like the same one that's on, with the blue base on page 70 that looks like the current,
Okay.
water tower. I like that one that Anthony said as well, and as well as I like the ones that Beth and Jesse designed that are on page 77. I like all of the ones that don't have eagles. So 1, 2, 4C, and 5C. But I primarily like number 1. So just say I like number 1 of the ones that Beth did. That's too many numbers.
Just to confirm, any of these designs, as far as cost, are we kind of at the same point?
Yes, as I understand it, as long as we stick to 4 colors or
Okay.
less, we will be fine.
And I know it's kind of hard to see in the packet, but on page 77, there are 2 different shades of blue on here. I don't know. Yeah, you can see it a little better on the screen. I just want to make sure everyone can see that too.
I told her 3 colors or less, so there's no more, especially when we take the eagle component out, because I thought
Yeah.
it was 3 colors, so that sticks
Yeah,
with it.
I like page 77, number 1. Is it 2-sided, so Eagle Lake will be on 2 sides or just 1 side?
2 sides.
2 sides, and which sides
East
are
and
they going
west.
to be?
Yeah,
East and
east
west?
and west.
Okay.
It follows the highway.
Our hometown in Iowa put it to where, they put it on the wrong side.
They did that in Vernon Center, when they redid the water tower,
Yeah.
I don't know, what,
Instead
15
of going
years
up
ago.
and down the main highway, it's pointed toward a small county road.
I think we should do that.
On
Let's get some complaints on the
my first vote would be for, on page 77, number 2. I think the blue top on it really, I don't know, I just love it. I think it looks really wonderful, and I guess my second one would be number 1 on page 77. Just not a fan of the tan, and I agree that the eagle presents a little complication as far as trying to pick and decide, and I think our current eagle, I don't like his beak, I'll be honest, it's just too big. So, those would be my 2 cents.
Could we take the wave that's in option 1 and combine that with option 2? I think the wave on option 1 is neater,
With the little white,
with the little white,
yeah,
with the white,
Write that down.
do you see what I'm saying?
It
Beth?
looks more
You
watery.
guys like the blue on the top. The only concern I have with the blue on the top is it's hitting sun 100% of the time when the sun is out, so it will fade a lot quicker, from what we've heard and understood. Or are you not concerned with the fade on the top?
I don't think I'd be concerned with the fade on the top as much as maybe the dirt and dust that collects on the top on
Underneath.
the white,
Okay,
you know.
oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because the dirt and dust collect on the top, and then the mildew is what forms on the bottom of the bowl, and that's why you want to try and keep that darker color.
Sounds like number 2 is the winner then.
All right, Carrie, do you, I'm sorry, Beth, do we,
I was 1 and 2 for me, on page 77, was 1 and 2. If we wanna see it 1 with blue on top, I can definitely have that, I just don't know if that matters for voting, or if we can do an electronic vote at that point, between 1 and 2, but,
It would look the same as 1 with the wave of 1, right? On the top and the bottom. I think that's nice because it allows you to see the 2 different colors a little more too, because I see that little patch of, that little more lighter blue on there too. I really think that number 1 you guys did a really great job with.
so we'll make from what I'm hearing, it sounds like everyone is leaning towards number 1 with a blue top. Essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And would we do the white line in the top as well? Or just on the bottom part?
I think you do it on both.
so we just mirror the bottom to the top.
Yeah. I love it. Any further thoughts on it, or? All right, I guess we'll vote then for a hybrid of the first option on page 77, where the top will mirror the bottom. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Anyone opposed? We have chosen a water tower design. Go team, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, do we need to pick colors at all?
If you
And
can,
then-
if you
sorry.
guys struggle with that and you prefer to have the, the engineer or contractor work, we can do
I
that
would
as well.
prefer the engineer to do any water tower designs for us ever again.
okay, in their defense, when I drove to Kentucky and back, we looked at every water tower we passed, and they're all nasty, mildew-wise,
Yeah.
but they all look like what they submitted. They're all boring.
Yeah.
So like ours will stand out from what people are used to seeing, especially in our area.
I would make a recommendation for the color robotic blue for the light blue of the wave, and probably safety blue if these are the colors that they can use for the base color, and then probably ultra white or pure white, whatever the white, any of the whites for the white on the top. Robotic blue is code 4063, safety blue is 4086. Those seem to match what Beth's designs
The
are.
robotic blue seems very bright.
It
And
is
then my
bright, but
question,
you're gonna,
and I guess I would lean to Andrew on the white, the stark white. Are we better off to go like off-white to hide any of the dirt and dust? Because you're a water tower expert, I know you are, but, or is stark white gonna be
I think if it's gonna be in the middle,
no one's,
on the edge of the bowl, it shouldn't be a big issue.
Okay.
That would be my thought.
So I think brighter is better for that now.
Some recent experience that I've had with white that picks up light and color of around it is, white is not white. So I think we have to make sure if we put a white up there by the blue, it doesn't look baby blue. And because it was really strange. Where the Lacey experience is a white cabinet in a space actually looks lavender. But we take it out of that space and it looks white. So it has a lot to do with the colors that surround it and the light that it absorbs. So just so long as we get a white that doesn't look baby blue next to the blue.
So what if we took that and left it to the designer to choose the best white that will bring out the brightest white without any contamination of color?
Yeah, I think we'll have to work with him on that because I don't know if we I would have never guessed that one. Work with color selection and so on.
Yeah, we're limited to this book though, aren't we, basically? Yeah.
What
I
if
mean,
we just,
your whites are gonna be always white unless you mix some kind of pigment into it, you know, like
White is
whether.
not white, there's 1,000
Yeah.
shades of white, so.
But these whites here, I mean, you can kind of tell that the ultra white has more of a blue in it, the extra white has a little bit of a green in it, and the pure white has a little bit of yellow in it.
Right.
I mean, they're gonna, it's good, it's just, I mean, it's just gonna, you're gonna have those, I mean, to the person driving on Highway 14, it's gonna appear white, whether it's a blue white or a yellow white. Now, the baby
I
blue
wouldn't
stuff,
say that, but
it would be close.
we'll have to, I think we need you to ask that question
Yeah.
of somebody that paints things.
what if we defer to the designer to most appropriately select the colors that match the design we want?
Well, I like the other two colors.
Yeah,
just that
maybe we defer that to
Garrett
Jesse.
did, so.
I can give this to her, if I can take this, I can show it to her and have her look at
Yeah.
what these are in comparison to what the
What
city
she was
uses,
thinking.
you know, because she's pulling the colors off the logo and off what the
Okay, so
city's
she's got the
using,
pan
so.
colors off the
Yep.
logo, okay.
That sounds great
Because
to me.
we're picking from these colors, right, not
Yeah.
a custom
Not a custom.
color.
Okay. No, I, it's just, recent experience, it's a $20,000 hit, where we're at.
With your cat.
Yeah. So,
Well, and Andrew made a good point, or not Andrew, Anthony made a good point, the robotic blue is very bright, but when I look at Garrett over there, he's very bright, and he's wearing city colors too, so like for that,
Well, I'm wearing city colors, and here's the
Yeah.
other blue.
and we're
you know?
talking that accent piece,
That's the
if it's just that
contrast.
little bar,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think if,
What'd you say for dark blue, Garrett? Safety blue?
I said safety blue on the other page, yeah.
I like that too.
yeah, I think the two blue colors are good, and white is good too, it's just, making sure that we don't have an issue. And we probably won't, it's just, like I said, it's recent experience, like,
yeah, I don't
months
want it
ago.
to get up and all of a sudden it's got a,
yeah, it's got a baby blue tint to it.
Or like a
Well,
highlighter color.
should we
to it,
then
but-
pick those two blues and say ultra white,
Yeah.
unless the designer recommends a different white for color clarity or,
Yeah, perfect.
okay.
yeah, I think your only blue colors on your, we call it your secondary blue, is gonna be either robotic or turbine. Honestly, turbines maybe more, a little more toned down,
Mhm.
but I think those are, because all the other blues are like baby blues and really pale blue.
Beth, do you think that the safety blue is probably the right one, or is laser blue? What's closest? What do you guys think?
No, not laser blue. I think
That's
it's,
too bright, isn't
I think
it?
safety blue is close. Blueprint is gonna maybe seem richer because
safety
it's so
blue is-
dark, but safety blue is closer to what,
Blueprint will look almost more navy, wouldn't it?
It could, yes.
Yeah.
yes. So that's where, do we do safety blue with turbine or robotic?
I'd probably do robotic.
I like robotic.
Okay, so do we need a second motion, or should we amend? Well, I think we're okay with the design, right? Okay, so then, I guess we're looking for a second motion for safety blue for the base, robotic blue for the accent blue, and ultra white for the white sections, unless the designer recommends a different white for the purposes of making it look more white. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item, a new
Should
business.
pay Sports Picks for the work that they did. I think they did a great job. I want to commend Beth and Sports Picks for the good work that they did.
Yeah,
So thank you to them.
yeah, great idea. Can we get a thank you card out or, yeah, thank you, Jennifer. All right, so moving on to the next item under new business, the price to straighten wings for the plow trucks. I was actually able to meet with Andrew last week too and got a tour of Public Works, learned a ton. Excuse me, thank you very much for that. One of them is that those wings are really bent. So I fully support this repair. Andrew, would you like to speak on this a little bit?
Yeah, I think Jennifer has the pictures in here. The first one being the orange wing, that one has been bent since I started. And it's to the point where we're trying to use clamps and get the cutting edges bent where they need to be, and you can see where they don't sit flush against each other. It doesn't fit in any of the repair shops that we want to take it to, so we're limited to, you know, if we have a snow event and we need to get the truck in for repairs, we either have to take the wing off or, you know, chance it and wait until after the snow event, things like that, that I don't really want to do anymore.
And you had some safety concerns about taking those off and putting them
Yeah,
back on, right?
They're not the safest thing to take off with the equipment that we have. It's a lot of, you know, hope things don't fall one way or the other way because it could end up, you know, smashing somebody or, so the more we take them on and off, the more chances we are of, you know, workplace injuries, things like that, you know, when you're talking probably 800-900 pounds, you're not gonna stop it from falling on you. Then the next picture is the other wing. That's on the newest truck, and that one is bent beyond replacement of cutting edges. It's not gonna happen without getting it repaired. On this one too, there's some key structure points that are, you know, the welds are cracking in them, things like that. I think a lot of this has to do with speed of what people have been plowing. So, you know, that's probably the biggest thing is, you know, we always say 10 to 15 miles an hour. We have some people that, or had some people that like to plow faster, and I think that's where these issues have come up with manholes and other things like that that don't turn out very well. Chris Steele's about the only place that I could get a hold of that actually has a setup for in their body shop to straighten these. So that's why there's only one quote. It's basically the only place that I could find that is capable and willing to do it.
So they're able to straighten the blade on the black plow?
Correct.
I guess that was my question too, is do we have to replace the blade or that can be straightened at the same time? The wing gets straightened?
Yep, the wing will get straightened, you know, and then everything else, so the cutting edge just bolts on to, you know, the bottom part of the wing, so once everything is straight and in line there,
They'll
I
just
think,
reattach the blade and.
yep, we'll just put a new blade on, cutting edge on, and
Okay.
should be just like new. I asked him, you know, is it worth looking at just the new, you know, blade itself? He goes, well, they're minimum 2 years out, so he's like, that's probably not an option.
So I assume this is years of damage that's gone neglected.
Yes.
Can I also assume that you guys have some protocol in place to be checking equipment, whether it be the plows or the lawnmowers or any of that stuff, to note the stuff and address it sooner than later so it doesn't get to this point?
Correct. Yep. And, you know, my rule of thumb is, you know, with snow removal and things like that, we don't have to do the DOT inspections, but I make the guys, you know, walk around your vehicle. Is there something that needs to be addressed? Is there something that's leaking that, you know, you aren't gonna see just by jumping in and going? So,
I appreciate that.
Andrew, what is the lifespan on these? So once they are repaired, and I don't know if you even know this, given that they're a couple years out to order, but as we are looking at, you know, the future, are we talking about next step later would be buying a truck with these on it, or is this something we replace and maintain?
so the next truck that we would purchase with the new wing and new plow
Okay,
all together. Just the wear and tear, and, you know, it's just like the truck, it gets beat up and it gets bent and bruised, and
yeah.
sometimes worse than other times.
So how long do we think this type of repair will last? Is this gonna outlast the life of the truck itself?
I think it'll outlast the city owning it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Any other questions for Andrew?
I assume this is a April fix or post-snow?
Yes.
Spring, summer fix?
Yep.
When is that, Beth?
I don't know. I'm being optimistic.
Correct, but we just wanna get it scheduled so that we know when we can bring it there.
Can appreciate that.
Perfect.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Andrew, for bringing this up to our attention. I think we need a motion to approve the repair, and this is out of, yeah, this was capital outlay.
That's correct.
Right,
The
yeah.
street department budget, it's 101-421-00510.
Appreciate it. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the repair of the wings for the plow?
All motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, again, Andrew, this is yours. This is for the DR900 multi-parameter portable chlorometer. Did I even say that right? So,
Better than I could say it.
all right, well, good. This is to test water.
Correct.
All right, Andrew, any comments on this? Any questions from council?
I guess my only comment would be is, so UC Labs does our back T samples, and we only have the capability to basically test our pH and fluoride. So when they come and do our back T samples, they, you know, call us and say, hey, this is what your chlorine is at. And we've been finding that we're needing to adjust it, but we don't have any way to test it, you know, where our levels are at, so we know where to adjust it. I think that's our biggest thing is, you know, so we can keep all of our chemicals in balance. It'll do all of the chemicals instead of having 3 different machines. We can just use this and hopefully get on a better track of keeping records of where we're at with our chemical percentages.
Maybe one thing we should note to Mayor and City Council, when Andrew and I were talking with our engineer, he strongly recommended that we have our own sampler, if that means anything as well too. That we have a sampler. Yep, I think we're probably one of the only cities around that he works with that does not have one,
Yeah,
so.
and the company UC Labs that does our samples, I told him, you know, I asked him, what do you guys use? And he's like, what do you mean, you don't have one? Like, he was just in awe that we didn't have it. And so,
Is this particular model one that was recommended?
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
By both the engineer and the lab that we send our samples to.
So when residents call and complain that their water smells, their water tastes nasty, because I know we've had that consistent issue. And I remember last year, I mean, I was one of them that submitted the sample for you guys too. If we're having issues, is that where this machine can sample residents' waters to say it is, you know, because I remember we said it's the water softener, it's this or that, you know, where everybody wants to blame the city when sometimes it's not the city's problem or, you know, fault for it.
Right, I think that gets kind of tricky depending on, you know, because there's a lot of things that go into play with sampling, you know, water softeners, water going through a water heater. you know, the water softener will take out a lot of the chemicals that we put into the water. And the same with the water heater, so yes
So if we
and
have
no,
those
maybe.
issues, they might go to UC Lab still.
Right, yep.
But I think it will be handy though, right, Andrew, like if someone, I'm trying to think of one of the situations or scenarios, kind of like Beth was, referring back to. It's still handy, there may be times where you could use it to do a sample for your own
Absolutely.
knowledge.
Yep.
So,
Someone
and-
fills their bathtub and the water's yellow or rust, we
Right.
might be able to address some of that immediately versus sending it out.
Yeah, and, I mean, a lot of it is the comfort of, you know, the license holder, so like me and Mike right now, you know, it's our license that is saying we know what we're putting into this water and where the percentages are at, things like that, you know, we're signing off on right now, but we don't really know. So it's kind of one of them, you know, peace of mind
Right.
as well.
I equate this to baking cookies and then not sampling the cookie to make sure it doesn't taste like garbage before you hand it out to somebody. Got it.
By having this, are we taking more samples then and being able to log our poor water quality, which then may in return help get funding, or will does having this not have that benefit at all?
I think if I'm understanding correctly, the primary purpose right now is so that, with our chemicals that are being put into the water, we can test those and get
Okay.
faster results, and some of that other stuff might come down later.
Yeah,
come
and
back.
a lot of it is gonna be just us playing with this. There's a ton of different things you can do with it, you know. I think you can test manganese and things like that, you know, if we're testing that and showing that we have high levels, maybe it'll help get, you know, bills passed, bonding bills and things like that passed, but that's future.
Once you guys learn it.
Right,
Well, I might jump ahead, but I think it's a need and I would make a motion to approve this purchase.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you, Andrew, for researching this and getting us information. Next item under new business, hiring of a part-time public works worker. Jennifer, would you like to speak on
Sure.
this one, or Andrew?
Absolutely. Maybe I'll start, and then if Andrew has anything extra, if you want to add it at the end. Mayor and City Council, we received an application for the position of part-time public works worker, and as you know, we were struggling to get interest in that position. We had a hiring committee that was comprised of Jess Steinke, she's with Minnesota Valley Council of Governments, Public Works Director Andrew Hartman, and myself. Interviewed James, he goes by Jim Anderson, for the position of part-time public works worker, and we recommend that he be hired for the position. We did extend a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Anderson to start at step 1, grade 3. Just for your reference purposes, I did include another copy of the position description in the job posting. Following approval this evening and the satisfactory completion of all required conditions for employment, Mr. Anderson will be eligible to begin working. The next item on the agenda will be the hiring of a 4th full-time public works worker. So as I've talked with Public Works Director Hartman, you know, we will utilize this person. We don't have enough staff to be able to do things like lawn mowing, but yet, you know, hopefully we will not have to rely on them as much as we did before. We only had 3 full-time public works workers. So if we have enough work for our full-time workers, they're gonna be the ones filling in and doing the work first, and then we'll utilize this person when we need that extra help. So I just wanna make sure that was clear, so everybody's on the same page. And Andrew, I don't know if you have anything else you wanna add?
yeah, I think, you know, the main places you will see them is, you know, down at the park mowing is our biggest thing. With the new employees that we have, there's so many things to train on and teach them that we need some of that extra time where, you know, Jim can spend mowing so we can go over some of these things that they need for, you know, getting their water license, wastewater license, CDLs, things like that take time.
Thank you for the information. Any other questions from the council? Would anyone like to make a motion to hire James Jim Anderson as a part-time public works worker at step 1, grade 3.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item, we have a 4th full-time public works worker. Jennifer, if you'd like to speak to this one, and
Sure.
Andrew follow up with anything else, thank you.
This will be a lot similar to how we hired our part-time public works worker. So we had the same hiring committee, so Jess Steinke with the COG, Public Works Director Hartman, and myself. We interviewed Jacob Beckman for the position, and we unanimously recommend that he be hired to fill the position. We did extend a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Beckman to start at step 1, grade 6. I just want to point out that Mr. Beckman possesses a bachelor's degree in Recreation, Parks, and Leisure Services. Previously worked for the city of Mankato in their Parks Department. I think that adds a lot of value and can offer a lot for Eagle Lake. So, following approval this evening and the satisfactory completion of all required conditions for employment, Mr. Beckman will be eligible to begin working. And if Andrew does not have anything else to add, we will just need a motion to hire Jacob Beckman as a full-time public works worker at step 1, grade 6.
I'll motion to hire Jacob Beckman for full-time public works.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 6 under new business, we are on to hiring of a community development coordinator. Jennifer, I'll hand this one to you.
Sounds great. Mayor and City Council, we had a hiring committee. I'm just going to go back to my page here. I lost it. One moment here. Hiring committee comprised of Jess with Minnesota Valley Council Governments, myself, the Personnel Committee, comprised of council members Beth Rorich and John Whittington, and also a rep from the Eagle Lake EDA and a rep from the Eagle Lake Planning Commission. We interviewed 4 candidates for the position of Community Development Coordinator, and we unanimously recommend that Olivia, and I'm probably going to mispronounce her last name, Abdomabia, I believe, is how you say it. Be hired for the position. We extended a conditional offer of employment to start at step 1, grade 8. I've included, since this is a new position, a copy of the position description and the job posting. Just a little background about our recommendation for Olivia. She possesses a bachelor's degree in urban planning and is currently pursuing a master's degree in urban planning. In addition to pursuing her master's degree, she has worked as a GIS intern for LeSueur County and is currently a community development intern for the city of Chanhassen. And I did talk to Olivia about when her availability would allow her to start working full-time, and she is still in graduate school, anticipates graduating in May. So she is requesting the ability to work part-time initially and then transition to full-time employment once she graduates. We talked about starting April 5th. So she would work Wednesdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon, and then Fridays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then beginning in June, she would then transition to Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So then following approval this evening, and again, the satisfactory completion of all required conditions for employment, Olivia will be able to begin working. And if there's any questions, I can answer it. Again, this is a new position, be responsible for economic development, planning, and zoning. Just really looking forward to bringing on Olivia. I think she'll be a great addition and just help take off some of the pressure with some of those aspects.
Any questions from the council? All right, we are looking then for a motion to hire, or do we have, I'm sorry, do we have an offer out? We have the motion to hire Ms. Damabia for the position of Community Development Coordinator.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And following that decision, now we have, the next item is getting a computer for Miss Adama Bia. I'm gonna keep saying that so I get it right. This seems like a practical purchase so that she can
Yes.
do her job. Anyone like to make a motion to purchase that computer?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a tie for second. Any further discussion? Coin toss. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, July City Council meeting date. I actually brought this one up because I realized we typically go to the cabin. I'm sure a lot of folks try to get away. It looks like this holiday might be slightly inconvenient for some. If it's just me, I'm happy to make it work, but if anyone else finds that day a little bit challenging and would like to move the meeting to Monday, July 10th, love to hear your thoughts on that.
I will be gone the 3rd as well.
I'm not alone. Oh, good. Yeah, so July 3rd falls on a Monday. So we'd be switching it from,
I think we should just keep it on the regular day.
you guys are so mean.
Right, I would prefer if we kept it.
Hey,
on
we
the-
get one time to miss, so that will be my once a year I miss.
I'll be here for one time that day. I think that's a good thing, yeah.
I honestly, I think for the residents too, a lot of people are gonna,
Monday, July 3rd, right?
yeah, a lot of people are gonna take Monday off and,
It'll be a 4-day weekend for people.
yes, exactly. All right, so
I'll be here. I'm here.
would anyone,
I'll be here. Shop never closes.
would anyone like to make a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? I am looking at you. The motion carries. All right, next item, Juneteenth. Now, if I understand this correctly, this is a holiday that is not officially in effect until August 1st, so this year isn't necessarily required to be a holiday, although going forward in future years, it will be required. So I think the question before us is whether or not we're going to recognize it this year as our decision versus a requirement.
And also, we are just going to be, it's kind of a formality, just updating our personnel policy to reflect that as one of our listed holidays, so.
Yeah.
Basically, just need a motion to amend. If you decide to just leave it as is right now, you know, we're able to conduct business. This year, we just would need a motion to amend the city's personnel policy to add Juneteenth as an official holiday effective August 1st, 2023.
I find that this is a state-recognized holiday, and my opinion is that we should absolutely amend that so that it is a holiday this year and is into our personnel policy.
And then that would take effect August 1st, 2023. So this year, we will still be able to conduct business, is that?
No, I was thinking we would make it a holiday effective this year.
Okay.
Any, I don't know, council, any other thoughts? I guess I should say maybe my opinion on this is I think we're a little behind the times. My day job, I think we've had this now for 2-3 years. Or had like a diversity floating holiday. I know that's used by some companies, corporations, so this is, yeah. So I can just go ahead and make a motion to include it in this year's holiday and amend. Would anyone like to second my motion? Motion dies, okay. We need a motion then to include this for 2024. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to make this official on August 1st, and then it'll be in effect in 2024.
Second.
Any further discussion? Motion carries. We will set it for 2024. Sorry, I didn't even finish that. Anyone opposed? No, I'm not going to oppose. All in favor? That was before that part.
Aye.
Aye. Did you get all that, Carrie? I went completely backwards on that one. Cool, thanks. All right, so next item on new business, number 10, Planning Commission recommendation and Fox Meadows PUD application.
Right, Mayor and City Council, there was discussion at our Planning Commission meeting last Monday regarding a planned unit development application that was received from Fox Meadow Housing Development for Lot 1, Blocks 2, 3, and 6. And so that application was for a planned unit development, which would include twin homes and then also single-family slab-on-grade homes. Again, in Lot 1, Blocks 2, 3, and 6. So not the whole development, just the areas with those types of dwellings. And just for reference purposes, I did include what I included in the Planning Commission packet, so there's kind of a lot of information here. But basically, you'll see there's an Exhibit A in that information showing the PUD for Blocks 2, 3, and 6 in Fox Meadows. And they're basically seeking this to create a new common interest community within the Fox Meadows housing development. And again, as I mentioned, it's going to consist of two types of dwellings. The first would be twin homes, and they'd be located in Blocks 3 and 6. And then the other type of dwelling would be single-family homes located in Block 2, and those are both shown on Exhibit B. So each of the single-family homes would become a separate lot and would eventually be sold to a homeowner, but the green space and driveways would be owned by the same homeowners association as the twin homes. So, and then also included is a excerpt from Chapter 6, Section 6.195, related to the PUDs. And something else, since it's not something you deal with all the time, CAC plats are governed by Minnesota Statute Chapter 515B. And at the local level, a CAC can be approved as a planned unit development, which allows some flexibility from zoning standards as to size and location. So according to our code, to approve a proposed planned unit development, the council must find that the proposed use meets one or more of the requirements listed in Section 6.195 Subdivision 2. And at the Planning Commission, we reviewed that, and the consensus was it appears that Subdivision 2, D, and E are met. And then it goes on to say that the Planning Commission should make its findings, and then make a recommendation to the City Council, and then the City Council schedules a public hearing. So it's a little different than what we're used to with variances, conditional use permits, and so forth. And that usually the public hearings are held at the Planning Commission, but the way this is written, the City Council your next action would be, if you accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission, would be to schedule a public hearing for the April 3rd City Council meeting. And prior to that time, I will coordinate with the city attorney and just review everything with him, make sure there's nothing that, that you need to be aware of that we haven't covered already. So I'll have that review done before the April 3rd meeting. But again, if you're accepting of the Planning Commission's recommendation, we would need to schedule a public hearing for the April 3rd City Council meeting.
Thank you, Jennifer. I was also, I attended this meeting, actually participated, so we had quorum, and got to hear, firsthand from the developer, kind of the intent behind this and some of the benefits, and we did walk through some concerns, but really having the CIC will allow people to not necessarily have to do all of the maintenance, all the outdoor upkeep, the plowing and clearing of driveways and lawns, that kind of thing. So for some people, I think it's a really ideal way to be a little less involved with the outdoor work. From my personal experience as a community association manager many, many years ago in Florida. It can be a bit of a chore to manage, have quorum for community meetings, to make sure you have decisions made in a timely manner so that things stay safe and upkept. And we raised those concerns to Mr. Shum, and he had expressed knowledge of those kinds of things happening elsewhere, but the company or the property management company that he would be using, he uses that one. I think it's for Owatonna property, and has really good luck with them. It sounds like it's very well managed. So I think walking away from that meeting, we had a lot less concerns than maybe our first reaction to, oof, this is new and scary. But personally, if I could live somewhere where someone handled all of the outdoor maintenance, I think I would like that, but maybe it'll be a few years.
Then I assume there's like a developer's agreement or something like that, so that, like the, mobile home park, where if they're not meeting those requirements or expectations, there's paperwork behind that, or how does?
So I think you might be referring to covenants, and so
Yes.
they do have covenants, and they did submit a copy of them. There's a lot of paperwork. So that's not subject to the approval of the city council, because the city will not have any ability to enforce that. They'll be recorded, but like Lisa was saying, they'll have their homeowners association. And that group will be responsible for enforcing them, not the city.
Okay.
But just to kind of piggyback off of what Mayor Norton was saying that we talked about at the meeting, I didn't do a good job of talking about here just a few minutes ago, is that I think the purpose of this PUD is to allow for different types of housing that we don't currently have in Eagle Lake, because I think we've heard that from some of maybe possibly our more elderly residents, that they'd like to move out of their home, stay in Eagle Lake, but not have to do that maintenance. And this would be an opportunity to do that, and then also free up their housing stock for maybe people that are wanting to come in and it'd be a starter home for them. So I just think it's something that it helps kind of diversify the different types of housing that we'll have available in Eagle Lake. And it sounds like too, we did ask Mr. Schramm at the meeting, once the PUD is approved, how quickly he would start construction on these types of units, and he said, if my memory is correct, it was as soon as possible. So that's good. I initially thought this was going to be a little bit further out, so I'm glad to hear that.
Any other questions from council? All right, so we'd be looking for a motion to schedule the public hearing for April 3rd. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And anyone opposed? Motion carries. So, sounds like April 3rd is going to get a little busy. All right, final item under new business, creating a task force for community center. Councilmember Steinberg and myself expressed some interest in this. I think we're just hoping to, at least I am, I can speak for myself here, understand how we go about forming it, how we would have people hop on that, and really the function of it and what our goal would be. Do you have any?
I don't have any ideas on how to do that, but I have questions just like you.
Okay.
I would wonder how we go about starting something like that.
Okay.
The professional manner, not just going on Facebook and saying, hey, who wants to do this?
Be in our club.
I think what you might want to start out with doing, I don't know if there's necessarily a right or wrong way, but I think starting with it's a council subcommittee, and then you can maybe pick somebody from, say, the Community Development, am I saying that right? Community Development Foundation, the Eagle Lake Community Development Foundation. And then if you want to enlist, different people from the community that you feel are representative of different segments of the community, I think that's appropriate. It's just fact-finding or, information gathering committee. You're not going to be spending money committing the city to anything and then come back and report to, the city council as to your findings. And then it would be up to the city council from that point whether or not to move ahead with anything. Okay. But does that help give any guidance on?
I think so.
Yes.
And when the new community development coordinator begins working, it might be something where you wanna loop in that position as well too, get their input.
Would that community developer, Olivia, would she be able to, she wouldn't be attending the meetings though, because then technically she'd be spending city dollars, right? Or
No,
would she be attending?
staff could sure attend these meetings,
Okay.
but, it ideally it'd be nice if it could be handled by a task force subcommittee of, council reps, and then, as long as we don't violate open meeting law, we have no more than 2, and then some people from the public bring back a report to the council and go from there. I think how you gather your information, I think you've got, some discretion how you do that. And city staff is certainly here as a resource if you need me to look into anything, I'd be happy to do that.
So do we need a motion to officially create one? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to allow the formation of a council subcommittee for the purposes of community center task force? Am I wording that?
Yep.
Good enough?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. I don't have anything under other. I think we are on to the city administrator reports.
Great. This is kind of a welcome change, you guys. We usually don't get to this until about right before 9 o'clock. So I'll keep moving. No, I'll get
so that means
moving.
you're preparing us for a long city administrator report?
Okay, so mayor and city council, the first thing on my report is, just an update in the water treatment plant bonding request. You are aware that we have a bonding, request out there, and we're, Mayor Norton and I are gonna be going up to St. Paul on Wednesday to testify, when the House File 144 is being heard. We're seeking an appropriation 1.15 million for pre-design design work necessary for the construction of a new water treatment plant. And as you recall, last year, the same request was put forth, but because they did not end up with the bonding bill, it didn't go anywhere. And our project obviously did not move ahead in that respect. So it's just really important that we hopefully can get these, get support for these bills and get a start, because it's a lot of money and we gotta start somewhere, so. Next item, CDL requirements, actually I'll back up. So we did also send out information to residents asking for their help in supporting our efforts in St. Paul. So hopefully if some of our residents can take some time and contact our legislators and the other committee members and let them know how important this is, hopefully that'll help. Next item, CDL requirements. In 2022, some new rules went into effect for CDL applications. So previously, it wasn't as burdensome for when we hire new public works staff to be able to get their CDL. Now that has changed. So we do have a new public works worker who we would like to get his CDL, and now he's gonna have to go through quite a bit of book training. You can either do it in person or online, and then you have to, I think, have a minimum of 10 hours behind the wheel. And there's quite a significant cost attached to that too. So in the past, Andrew, did you say maybe $500 was kind of what we had spent? Maybe not even that?
Yeah, not even that. I mean, in the past, it was kind of, you would go take your permit test, and then, we would drive around a couple times, and then you go get your license, where now, you're being governed that you have to take a classroom portion, and then you have to do a minimum of 10 hours behind the wheel with a certified instructor, so.
It's we're probably looking at a minimum of $3,000.
Yes, yep.
So that's where we talked,
Is that
Andrew.
per person then?
Yes,
Okay.
and so what we talked about right now, so we've got 2 public works workers, employees, sorry, Andrew. Andrew, Mike have CDLs, and then, we'll have Nathan will be getting his CDL, but we're gonna probably hold up for now on the next one until, we just gotta ease into it. I don't think we can afford to have both of them get their CDL. And it's really probably not critical right now because we only have, 2 big plow trucks. And do we need 4 people CDLs this year? We can probably get by till next year, so. Next thing, carbon reduction grant, just wanna let you know, I did submit one, to try and offset costs associated with our Eagle Lake pedestrian connectivity project. I am in contact with, the person with Maple with that, and, it was kind of a confusing grant application and process because we are pursuing funding for a project that we're also seeking other grant funds for, so I'm working with him and, may need to amend, the application that was submitted, but, just wanna let you know that that was submitted. And then also, last year we were successful in getting EAB grant, to help remove 10 ash trees, and we replaced those 10 with new trees. The funding this year for that program has been significantly decreased, but I did go ahead and still apply, just reduced our ask from 10 to 7 trees to remove and then hopefully replace. So hopefully we'll get some funding. We'll see how that turns out. And then also, I shared at the last meeting that we did submit a transportation alternatives grant application. And then since the last meeting, I did have an opportunity to present that to a committee, talk a little bit about our project, answer some questions. And then following that meeting, they did ask if the city would be willing to commence the project in federal fiscal year 2026 instead of federal fiscal year 2027, which is what we were initially thinking when we submitted the application. And I did say, yes, I think we can do it. I think 1 year is not gonna, we'd be able to come up with the funding for that. So we'll see how that turns out as well. And then good news, we do have 2 applications for the 2 vacancies on the Planning Commission. So those will be going before the Planning Commission at their upcoming meeting. And then hopefully by the April meeting, we'll have a recommendation to the City Council. So, and then next, we got the fire chief in the audience, Fire Chief Simpson. We have been, I'll back up here. So there was a request made at the budget workshop to set aside some money to start looking into a feasibility study. So the council approved, I believe it was $5,000 to get that process started. So the fire department has coordinated with a consultant. We've got a meeting coming up, and I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. So I'm gonna be meeting with Vern and Trent, and we'll meet at the fire hall in March here, just to kind of get those discussions started. And then I also wanted to talk about, as staff, I'll be doing some research on what financing options are available. I think I have a pretty good idea with fire halls. We don't have reserve set aside for a new fire hall, so it's very unlikely we're gonna be able to avoid doing it without incurring debt service, but I think that's pretty common for cities. So I've got some ideas on where to go, and just want to let you know that we are starting the dialogue, so if you hear anything, that's what's going on. We're behind. We gotta get going. We should've been doing this a long time ago, so we'll provide updates, so.
I don't know, he was a little busy, so that delayed us from starting earlier in the year, so.
Yeah, no, when I meant behind, I mean years behind, not this year, so nothing, no reflection.
Is there a location that you've thought about yet, or is that all, that's all part of that?
Yeah, that's part of that study.
Yep. So more information will be coming, so just want to let you guys know about that. And then lastly, let's see, I do maybe have one other thing. Okay, so the next item on my report is upcoming safety and loss control workshop that the league puts on, and that's going to be in Mankato on April 5th. There's a really good session this year, and it runs from 12:15 to 3:30, and it focuses on de-escalation strategies. And so I was talking with the front office. I would like both Mandy and Carrie to go, and I'd also like to go. We've never shut down the office, I don't think, since I've been here for a training, but I do think it's worth it. So I would like to request that we just close the office for the, a little bit before noon until probably about 4 o'clock. And I think it'll be a good training to attend. And then we also have a couple of public works staff that are gonna be attending as well, same training, so. Well, if you'd like to, by all means. Do you guys want to? Do I volunteer?
Okay, I motion that second Garrett and Anthony either answer the phone
April 5th.
or we shut down. If it starts at 12:15, we go from like 12 o'clock the rest of the day. So we'll come back for half an hour.
Okay,
So that'd be my recommendation. We're only there, you guys are only out, or you're only here in the morning and then it's closed the rest of the day.
okay, sounds
I would
good.
only admit that, as long as the calls are recorded, so we can.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I would say the rest of the day, there's no reason to come back and reopen the office. It'd just be confusing, so.
And we will not get in the practice of doing this. This is not something that, like I said, since I've been here, and actually I don't think, maybe in any city I've worked have I ever done this. I've usually been the one that stays behind, but I thought this is a pretty important one, I think, for staff. So we'll get notice out to the public, let them know, so everybody has, and put a note up on the door, so.
So nobody's gonna do the cyber security essentials?
I think we have a volunteer.
I might want to do that. I'll take it. Okay, perfect.
That'd be great. No, these are really affordable, good, the league always puts on good workshops, and they're just, a good opportunity at, like I said, a low cost. And then something that'll be coming up, I just thought of it here tonight, we did hear from LJP about the spring cleanup, usually Gary coordinates with them, and I think we're looking at, May 13th possibly, set for May 13th, and it's unfortunately gonna be the same where you have to drop off your items, so. But we'll get more information, I'll include that on the upcoming agenda, and with that, I think that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jennifer, very much for your report. Council members, I'll just start. Councilmember Rourke, anything in your report?
I would say from the community ed perspective, they have not chosen to have Eagle Lake Aces for the summer, so Eagle Lake will not be a summer site this summer for sure, moving forward. So there's some residents that are going to be struggling finding care because there's only 2 sites now that are going to be at Mankato. So that's one pretty massive change for the community. And then the other thing that's more park board related is starting Wednesday, we were able to get the adult pickup basketball to go through. So that will start this Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. And then it's gonna go on in whenever there's not equipment in the gym. So unfortunately, there's only one time in March, and then it'll go April and May. If that is successful, then it will start back up again once school starts in September. The other 2 things that aren't necessarily councilmember reports, but I'd like to see for next month or soon after, would be what we need to do for street sweep, and I did email Jennifer on that. So I felt like last year we were a little bit behind on when the bids came in and when it even started. So I'd like to see that, and then also the conversation on mosquito spray, as I know there was a lot of back and forth on that. So I'd like us to look into that before we're always crunch mode of like, we have to make a decision now. So that's what I'd have.
Thank you, Councilmember Roach. Councilmember White? Nothing? Councilmember Steinberg?
We're moving along with Music on Parkway. I think it'll be a nice event this summer. The first event will be down in City Park, near where the shelter area is on that patio. And then by June 13th, we'll be able to be back up here underneath the water tower that will be freshly painted. And we'll have another one in August as well. And things are underway. It should plug in to be a really good festival. And yeah, we have a meeting on Friday, and that's pretty much it. And then Lisa and I will get together to start the task force.
Yep. All right, thank you. Councilmember Whittington?
I have none.
Nothing? All right, I have just a few things. I'm gonna echo off of a couple things that Jennifer brought up in yours. So the upcoming safety loss control workshop with LMC. I attended the newly elected program from the league, which was incredible. I'm sure you guys have probably done that, but so much great information, and they were really clear about listen to your city administrators. Usually they are the ones that really know the stuff. So I used Jennifer for a couple examples because she is that voice of reason for us. So that was a really wonderful experience, a lot of good networking, and just kind of hearing about what other cities are doing. You know, the struggles we have here, we're not alone. You know, it's nothing new. Another thing we did with Chief Kopp, we had an emergency management meeting with Blue Earth County. So Eric Weller, I believe that is his, yes, I got his name right. Okay, good. And then Sheriff Worsel and Deputy Barta came, and we kind of walked through, you know, the state of the state, I guess, where we are as a city, what things are concerning, what things should we be looking for, planning ahead if there were to be disasters or other emergencies here, and talking about who would go where, what's going to be the central place if there is an emergency. We have a train track very close to a lot of things here in town, and concerns there. One thing that came up a couple times, and it has come up in a couple of my tours that I've been doing lately, is I do not believe anywhere in the city we own a generator that isn't, are those even the little portable ones, or those?
Yeah, we have just a couple small ones that, you know, almost like a household generator that you would have, except for at the lift station, we have one big generator down there.
So correct me if I'm wrong here. If we were to have a massive power outage for some reason, like a tornado comes through, assuming you can even get to the Public Works building, you're going to be dragging a big scaffolding item over, crawling up that, doing an extension cord, maybe like a Tarzan swing down from the scaffolding just to get a garage door open.
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay. And then the scariest part about that is fire hall doors won't even open without a generator.
That's why we strung the extra extension cords down the walls, which I've got a meeting coming up with Fitzoff Electric to get a quote on wiring those in so that it'll be OSHA approved wiring. So, but that way with that winter storm that we had coming through, I believe that was what, last month? I don't think it was December, I think it was January. That's when we temporarily hung those cords there so that in that event, we could plug in our portable generators off of our trucks to open them doors.
Yeah, okay.
Which seems like we have more snow coming this week. If it's heavy snow, you know, these are the kind of snowfalls that could,
Yeah.
that power outlet just by our house, or the day that power went out was just right across the street from my house. You heard the thing, and then you could see the thing hanging over right there, John Country Store.
The thing and then the thing. And, yeah.
Well,
You know, the power, but that did not have the power for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well, this is pretty concerning. I think we really need to get something on the books for next year. We need more generated power. I'm totally surprised. We don't have a generator at this building.
Nope, that was the third part of it.
So nothing here, nothing at the fire hall, and just a small one at the lift station,
Correct.
and then nothing at the public works side.
Right, and then we don't have anything at the wells either.
I would say that's a great concern.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too.
Well,
And this,
I mean, that's a very,
we're gonna, yeah. We're gonna get some more, I think it was more of a formal follow-up from that meeting with some other recommendations. I know, Chief Kopp, you're already aware of this, that we were getting, I think we're getting new defib. So we might have a defibrillator that would stay here in the building, but let's just say, I mean, this is a very practical location, assuming it isn't damaged itself for an emergency, you know, place of emergency if we need it. And this building doesn't have it. And did we ever find out if this building even has a hookup for the generator?
It does not. Andrew did do some research after our meeting.
Yeah.
So even if we had one, we couldn't,
Right.
Right.
yeah.
I have our electrician getting us a price on what it would cost to put a hookup, you know, so we could get a towable generator, you know, if we could rent one or.
Right.
Well, and
What
depending
have
on which disaster, if it's local, regional, or whatever, access to mobile isn't gonna be there. So I think we need to just kind of have something that says, in the long run, we need something here, we need something at the fire station, we need something there, and what's that, what's our capital savings plan that needs to be over the next couple of years to get to that point?
That is something that was going to include in next year's capital plan. That is one of the things I did look into, and it's just a guesstimate on a price, but it's about $30,000 to equip the fire department with a generator.
And that's pretty cheap, actually, for generation of a structure, so.
Well, it's very critical we get this, and we've been talking about this for a while. I just, so you're not super alarmed, I know we're not the only small community who does not.
Yeah.
I just want you guys to know that, so.
It's just really surprising to me
Yes.
that when we built this building, that wasn't part of, because adding it then is the cheapest point. was that, right, to the connections and the failover devices and everything.
I was gonna mention too, following our meeting, I did contact, a guy with the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, and he does have a couple different, options that we might wanna look into, for generators, and I'll talk to, Fire Chief Simpson. One of them is like a Minnesota DNR for firefighter property program. He thought there might be something with that, and then our emergency management grants and equipment, with HSEM, we should look
Well, and
into,
we have a generator manufacturer here in Mankato, so I think reaching out to them and see what might be available there. And nothing else, they make garage door openers now with battery backups in the short term, which might be a small, as much as I would like to see you swing across in the Tarzan mode, Andrew, that may not be something,
To be clear, he never mentioned that. That was just
Oh, that
my like,
was your-
wow,
that
you'd
was
have to
your-
climb
okay.
all the way up there, huh?
So he didn't volunteer for the Tarzan mode.
No, he didn't, but
We could use a ladder at the police department too, just so, we're all 6'4", so maybe I can't reach the ladder.
yeah. All right, well, I think that that concludes most of my report. Just reiterating to both Chief Simpson and Public Works Director Hartman and Chief Coppa, that one's upcoming, we still need to schedule it, but they've been very gracious with their time and showing me around and letting me pick their brains about stuff, so thank you again for that. And as Jennifer mentioned, we will be taking a field trip on Wednesday, so we did send out an email this afternoon really telling residents to contact the legislators, not just ours, so it's not just Representative Frederick, it's not just Senator Frentz, but it's really those that are on that capital investment committee. They're the ones making the decision. Senator Frentz has this going to committee tomorrow, and Representative Frederick has it going on Wednesday. So we'll find out really quickly if this bill is going to survive and keep moving along, and if you want to follow that process, there's great little videos about how a bill becomes a law in school. So those are available out there, but we're watching this very closely and plan to be advocates for that, as well as kind of backing up Mankato with their requests, or not for not for water treatment, but for the sewer, because it's really vital that they get it because we send ours there. So I guess my takeaway that I hope everyone has from this is just being mindful of the power that we have. We met with Senator Frentz, was it just last week? Yeah. Okay, time is really flying by, but we said one thing, what can we do? What can we do? And he said, make sure people are contacting us. That is the biggest thing. Those phone calls, those emails, they are all documented and recorded, and they count heads and numbers and names, and it really does make a difference when they're looking at, do we fund something for this city or do we fund something for Eagle Lake? Oh, well, if Eagle Lake's full of squeaky wheels, we're gonna probably appear a little more likely to get that, so.
Mayor Norton, one thing I would highly recommend, as we've done it in other committees that I've been on or organizations I've been with that we're trying to seek funding for, and I don't know if this can come from the city or if it should come maybe more from you, where they kind of have a copy and paste that can make it super easy, because I know a lot of residents will read it and they know what they should do, but I don't know what to say. I'll deal with it later, and then they never deal with it later. So if there's something that can just be drawn up, and here's the list of emails, and I saw the email, I haven't been able to look at it yet since it was sent out, but here's copy and paste these addresses, copy and paste this text, add your verbiage. you're making it really foolproof for the residents to not send the email.
I like exactly where your head is at, and I think we were actually touching on that this afternoon, about, you know, do we make this like more of a cookie cutter action center sort of thing?
I think
Yeah.
you'll get a lot more feedback and a lot more people sending it if you have that.
Yeah, I think that's,
I think the thing to keep in mind right now is we were scrambling. We have been,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get much notice. So it had, like, Mayor Norton and I talked about, next time we can do that, I mean, it takes a lot of work just to try to get that email, and you can't copy and paste into the MailChimp. So we weren't able to copy and paste the names and the contact information as you think you would be able to. So kind of did the best we could right now.
Has it gone out on social media? Has that piece gone out there too? And if so, is it a, kind of like I did with the adult basketball, where I shared my Google form or Google Doc, where you can say, hey, this is what I sent, take my wording and send it out, you know, where,
Yep.
not everybody would get it, it's not
Yep.
promotion, I get that, but if you read it on social media, hey, I'm gonna steal her type and send it out.
yeah, definitely good ideas, and I think we can always find more ways and better, and we'll just keep thinking of how to do that. I mean, if we have limitations with MailChimp, is MailChimp the best way to be? I mean, is it the best email? I guess I don't know.
I think it's just because this came up on Friday and, you know, trying to get a council packet put
Mhm.
together and then scrambling to get this stuff put together. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just a lot. I think it's a huge it's a bigger undertaking than people think to do these things, because you have to think through what you're gonna say. You know, it's something.
You're not whipping it together in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it's
No.
not something I think we were thinking about doing ahead of time. It was just something that we found out we were invited to testify, and so we're scrambling to put something together.
Yeah, we
so.
found out, was it this morning? The Senate committee is tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yeah, we knew about Wednesdays like 3 days ago, maybe, but, yeah. So that's the legislature, they move quickly. All right, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I have one more thing
Oh,
real quick.
sorry, yes, thank you.
If you wanna stop by the water tower site and take a look, we have kind of painted out where the temporary pole is going to go for Verizon. We kind of put it in the best spot so that if it's not down in time for, music on Parkway, it's kind of pushed more towards the Eagles Nest, that direction. So I think it's a 105-foot temporary pole, just on a ballast, so it's nothing dug in the ground or anything, but.
Also not to be swung from ladders or anything, right? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you for that update. Anything else?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you, we are adjourned.